You know that feeling when everything is finally quiet? The day is over, no one needs anything from you, your phone isn't buzzing, and yet your body still won't let go? Like something inside you is still bracing, still waiting. Like rest is right there, but you can't quite reach it. And it's not loud, it's not panic. It's just a low, constant tension, a subtle alertness, like you're always on standby for something you can't name. You sit down, you try to relax, maybe you scroll, maybe you stare at the ceiling, but there's this strange guilt or unease, like you're forgetting something important, like you're not allowed to fully let your guard down. And the confusing part is, nothing is actually wrong right now. You're safe. You made it through the day, but your body doesn't seem to believe that. And maybe you've told yourself things like, why am I like this? Or other people can just switch off. Why can't I? And maybe a part of you wonders if this is just who you are, someone who can't relax, someone who's always a little on edge, even in calm moments. But what if that feeling didn't start now? What if it started much earlier, in ways so quiet, so normal at the time that you didn't even realize something was being taken from you? Maybe you learned without anyone ever saying it out loud that relaxing wasn't safe. Not in an obvious way. No one had to tell you, don't rest. It was more subtle than that. It was in the way the atmosphere shifted, the way someone's mood could change without warning, the way you had to stay aware, just in case. You know that feeling when you could sense something was off, even if no one said anything? Maybe as a child, you became really good at reading the room, noticing small changes in tone, in silence, in energy. And maybe you didn't think of it as anything special. It was just what you had to do to keep things okay, to keep yourself okay. And somewhere along the way, your nervous system learned something very important, that being alert kept you safe, that staying on was necessary, that relaxing, even just a little, might mean missing something, missing a shift, missing a moment where you needed to adjust, to fix, to prepare. And so you stayed ready, even when you didn't realize you were doing it. Maybe you were the one who had to grow up just a little too early, not in dramatic ways necessarily, but in quiet ones. Maybe you noticed that your parents were tired, or stressed, or emotionally unavailable, and without anyone asking you to, you stepped into a role. You became the easy one, the understanding one, the one who didn't add more weight to an already heavy environment. Maybe you stopped asking for too much. Maybe you learned to take care of yourself, not because you wanted to, but because it felt easier than being a burden. And people might have praised you for it. They might have called you mature, independent, strong, and you carried those words like a badge of honor, not realizing that underneath them was something else, a quiet loss. Because being strong often meant not being held, being independent often meant not being supported, and being mature sometimes meant skipping over parts of childhood that you were never supposed to skip. And so now, years later, your body still remembers. Even if your mind has moved on, even if your life looks completely different, there's a part of you that never stopped scanning, never stopped preparing. You know that feeling when you can't fully enjoy something because a part of you is already thinking about what comes next? Or when you sit down to rest, but your mind starts listing all the things you should be doing instead? That's not laziness. It's not a flaw. It's a pattern that was built over time, a pattern that once protected you. Because back then, being still might have meant being caught off guard. Being relaxed might have meant being vulnerable, and vulnerability didn't always feel safe. Maybe you also learned to rely on yourself a little too much, not because you wanted to push people away, but because somewhere deep down it felt more certain, more predictable. You didn't have to worry about being let down, or misunderstood, or disappointed, so you handled things alone. You figured things out. You became someone who could carry a lot, quietly. And from the outside, it probably looks like you're doing fine, maybe even more than fine. But inside, there's this constant effort, this invisible weight, like you're always holding something together, even when no one is asking you to anymore. And maybe the hardest part is you don't always know how to stop, because this way of being, it's not something you consciously chose. It's something you adapted into. It became your normal. So when someone tells you to just relax, it doesn't land. It almost feels frustrating, because if it were that simple, you would have done it already. It's like telling someone to stop breathing a certain way when they've been doing it their whole life. But here's something gentle to consider. What if your inability to relax isn't a failure, but a memory? Not a conscious one, but something your body learned, something it's been holding on to, because at one point, it had to. What if that tension you feel, that constant readiness, is actually a form of loyalty, a part of you still trying to protect a version of you that once needed it?